I'm back, so I'm sorry.
And I'm not. What?
But Charlie's here as well. So, yeah, so actually, to that exact point, I sat down with Will a few weeks ago. He introduced me and connected me to Peter the Plastic Tide and to Becky Finn at Clean Coast, and then talking to these people, what we've come up with here is a prototype of maybe what this could look like if we actually use all the Salesforce tech. So I've introduced myself already. Charlie, do you want to let people
Sure,
know?
go to the next slide. Hi, this is all about me, okay? My favorite subject. No, seriously. What I do is, I heard it earlier from Will and a lot of people here. My favorite thing to do is volunteer for organizations like Black Girls Code. I also do IoT workshops. That's predominantly what I do. People think I just goof around all the time and go to Surfforce and other fun events that are Salesforce sponsored, but I also mainly do IoT workshops. So I meet with C-level executives, try to get them excited about connecting their products and devices up to Salesforce, and then we actually, I don't need it. You're the next slide. Okay, so that's what I do. I also do hackathons. Like we had 1,000 developers from American Airlines at a hackathon building apps on Salesforce. Well, they weren't all building on Salesforce. They were building on different technologies, but we got a chance to work with them. And then I also do shows like this one. I call this a show, but this is that's the Lego. Anybody seen the Lego City at Dreamforce? Anybody went to Dreamforce? Anybody go to Dreamforce? Okay, so we had Lego City. That was a big draw there. But we helped put that together, and that's the fun job I have at Salesforce. Do I have another slide? Oh, I do. Oh, we're going to talk about this. That's right. We practice this too. Believe it or not, we practice. Am I moving around too much?
No, that's fine.
Okay. So I mentioned I do IoT workshops, and IoT at Salesforce. The first question everybody has is, what is IoT at Salesforce? You know, you don't build devices, you don't build sensors, you don't connect them up to the cloud. And we don't have like an IoT platform per se, right? You could argue that we do now that we have part of MuleSoft, right? We have MuleSoft, and they do some IoT like platform-oriented stuff. But we mainly do the right-hand side of this picture here. We do the CRM aspects of IoT, and we do the customer experience side of IoT. So we take a real-time event coming from a device or a product, or it was brought up the Raspberry Pi, for example. So the Raspberry Pi indicates a bad sample from a lake, polluted water. So why not create a case in Service Cloud? Or the app we built to show you today, I'm not going to steal our thunder, but it basically, you push a button and there's an alert, and it pushes it into what you heard about it earlier, platform events, right? We don't have to go into detail on any of our presentation now because you had the great foundation behind platform events and also Einstein, which is what we're going to show you during the demo. So we call it Smart CRM. That's when people ask, well, Salesforce does IoT. Now you can answer that we do the customer experience side of CRM, of IoT. And we have this product called IoT Explorer. And it was mentioned earlier about limits on platform events. You can get, if you buy IoT Explorer, which is, in my mind, very inexpensive, and I'm not even in sales when I say it's very inexpensive, but your limits are increased and you can do cool things with the platform events coming in, and I'm going to show you what you can do with that in a minute instead of talking about it. So there we go.
So this is my safe harbor slide. The demo you're going to see now, you can see how polished and rehearsed Charlie and I are on this, okay? It's been put together with sticky tape and string, okay? And it's more of a vision, and where it comes from is I've spent time talking to Clean Coast. They came into our office in Dublin, spent time with Pete Kohler talking about the Plastic Tide. And what you're going to see, as we're going to do as a story, then we're going to do as a demo, is validating that, they need help. They need a lot of help. I mean, and I was very conscious talking to the ladies from Clean Coast. It's like, again, I discovered this thing after Blue Planet 2, right? She's been trying to clean beaches for the last 10 years when no one was bothered. So it's like, there's all this energy and all this Salesforce can do, and let's get everyone behind it, but it looks like we're on the right track. So what I'm going to show you here, Charlie and I are going to show you, is an example of how a lot of Salesforce technology can be applied to actually really scale the solution to that problem. Okay, so we're going to tell you a story. Okay, and this first bit is inspired by what the plastic tide do. So it starts with a dog patrol. So there are organizations, Greenpeace are doing it, Plastic Tide are doing it, where drones are now flying over beaches and actually taking pictures. And the interesting thing is they're getting to a place where all these annoying drones, those personal ones, maybe they could actually be doing something useful while they're up there annoying us and take pictures as well. And so the cool thing is that picture is then sent to Einstein Vision. And you saw earlier on what happens there, but effectively that image, Fintra Beach, which is in northwest Ireland, near a fishing port called Killybegs, remember that, there's a hint on that, is looking pretty polluted when a photo was taken at 8 o'clock this morning. Okay, so that image is going to go off. And what happens back at base with Clean Coasts is they've been training an Einstein Vision model, you saw it, to actually spot, well, is that a lizard beach or a clean beach? It's spotting the fact automatically. I mean, you could do this one-on-one. You know, I could look at it and say that, but the idea is drones are flying all the time. They're flying at dawn, they're taking these pictures, so we're getting much more scale to spot these problems, maybe getting to inaccessible beaches that aren't regularly visited. And on the back of that, it's actually going to push, I'm using a custom object here, I'll call it Beach Monitor, where it's actually creating a record and classifying how littered the beach is, the longitude and latitude, the time, so all that's now recorded in Salesforce. And this is the first thing. I actually asked Clean Coast to give me the database of the beach cleans. And actually, it was kind of cool. The surf force from Bundoran is actually one of the rows in there, so I could actually see what was done last year, which is really nice. But they're doing this stuff on SurveyMonkey, and they have no real data or no insight. They have no ability to say, is the coast clean or is it littered? How often is it clean? So the only, talking about the UN, the only sort of officially sanctioned data model is a thing called OSPAR, which is a combination of the Oslo Accord and the Paris Accord, which says, for instance, in Ireland, which has got a huge coastline, once a year, 1 square kilometre of beach is checked on basically north, south, east and west, and that's it. And that's the only official data that drives how much marine litter there is. Yet people are walking beaches, drones can fly beaches all the time. You could have a much richer database to say, well, actually, what is happening? Okay? So 2 more things are going to happen before we go to the first little bit of the demo. Okay? So there are 600 clean coast groups in Ireland alone. What did Hugo say yesterday? 75,000 volunteers as part of Surfers Against Sewage. How do they actually coordinate? Okay? Let me tell you a quick story before I go to the next slide. A Salesforce group, one of the solution engineer teams, organized and went down to clean a beach near Dublin last weekend. When they got there, the beach was pristine. A different group had gone the day before and cleaned the beach. Right? Everyone's well-meaning, no one's coordinated. Because they're all different groups. Does that sound like a problem that Salesforce could be used to solve? So in this case, we're going to push out an email alert using Process Builder to say, whoever the local coordinator is, there's a dirty beach, here's the details, okay? And on the back of that, he or she can log into a community, get more information on it, and also start to coordinate to say, hey, yeah, it looks like it's very littered, we're going to need a lot of people, let's all get together, let's hit the beach. Okay, so let's just really quickly jump into a demo and see that first piece. Sure. Okay? We haven't actually rehearsed the actual demo, have we?
Yeah. So, am I going first or are you going first?
You're going first.
Okay, good. Or bad, depending how you look at it.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm glad you put the clicker on there. I was doing a demo once where somebody was messing with me during my demo. I was clicking the buttons and everything was going crazy. Okay, so let's do this. And okay, that works. Can you see that kind of in the back? That's an orchestration. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to show the front-end mobile app that we built. Actually, I should say I built because I don't want to cast aspersions on Carl because it's really kind of rough. Now I got to find it. Where is it? Oh, there's my. Oh, that's really interesting. I should be able to do this. And why is it going so big? It's not supposed to go big like that. That's my mobile phone, actually.
There you go.
Okay, but I don't want it to be the full screen because I want to show both. I want to show both in action. Hey, look at that! Just like we rehearsed. Okay, now it disappeared again. Okay, there we go. So I've got this, believe it or not, this is a real app. Let me get rid of the video thing. Okay. If you count to 3, that thing will disappear. Yeah, look at that. Okay, so here's the app right here. You see it down in the lower left-hand corner. And you are on this beach. We're simulating a beach in Ireland. I just hard-coded in the lat long of that beach. So I've got location, I've got an Einstein log at the bottom, which is real-time logging. So we have real-time logging, which is the ability to take a picture of something on the beach and feed it into Einstein Vision, like you demoed earlier. And that's going to upload it, and hopefully I'll show you that. Then there's a summary log capability too. So at the end of the day, who here logged all the litter, all the rubbish? Did anybody get involved with the logging? Okay, Sean did, I know. Did you do it all yourself?
It's yesterday.
Okay. So at the end of the day, what you do is you log everything in manually, it goes into a spreadsheet. And so what we attempted to do is put together something called a summary log that allows you to do that on the fly. Get help means there's a stranded animal on the beach, or I'll just show you it. I'll show you it. Hopefully it'll work. So here we go. Let's go into, I'm going to load this. Oh, there it is. Okay, so if I'm on the beach, I can do, let's upload a file. Let's say I find something on the beach. I can just log dynamically. So here, I'll take a picture of, I'll take a picture of you. I can send that up, use photo. That'll upload it, and it'll actually classify it. But what you really want to do is do something like, it's really going to be a Coke can, right? So remember the demo you showed you before? Let's go to my camera roll. You can see the pictures I took of Will while I was presenting. But here's a Coke can. So if I send the Coke can up, I can do the same thing, and it's going to classify it. But I'll spare you that. Let's go into the get help. Let's say now I'm wandering down the beach, and there's a whale. Oops, I should be standing over here. Where's this camera? Okay, it doesn't matter. So let's say there's a toxic waste problem on the beach. Or let's say stranded animal. I just clicked on stranded animal. So what's going to happen here is if this thing is activated, I might have to do a refresh. But so if you count to 5, what's going to happen is that pushed a platform event from my iPhone app, and it's going to go within the orchestration and merge with something called context. Who here has played with IoT Explorer? Has anybody? Okay, so you know there's a context, so I can grab context. Let me refresh this because it's probably confused.
There it is.
Oh, did it pop? Okay. Okay, so I've got one total instance, and it's not really showing very well because it's not very big. Let's see, there it is. Okay, stranded animal. So I can push, there's a large item, or let's push abandoned vehicle. Now that it's awoke, it should go faster. But, so what that did, it not only activated this orchestration, that's pretty lame, it also wrote to the log dynamically. So when I push this, now you see how that activated abandoned vehicle? So if I go into cases, you'll notice there's no cases in there. So my demo failed, right? Oh, I gotta refresh it. I thought this was gonna fail gloriously, but it seems to be working. Okay, so those 2 alerts I created now create a case in Service Cloud. And I also got, if I go back into my my mobile phone app here, you can see that I'm getting, this would be the equivalent of notifying someone that there is a problem, a major problem. So this could use standard Salesforce workflow, right? I'm using a mail alert. I'll spare you going into my Gmail, but it's also sent me a standard Service Cloud email alert. It's sending me an SMS text from live message, okay? So these are the types of things, and this is meant, as Carl mentioned, this is meant to exercise your brains on how you could take, I'll give you all my code. If you want to build an app, you could take, like if I won't, here's my Xcode app right here, and all the stuff that I'm showing you is in the Salesforce Beach Cleanup app, and it just posts out to Heroku, okay? So that's how it works. So what else do I need to show? I need to show...
Just go back into the story for a second as well.
Okay.
Well, I think the thing that's really struck me, I haven't done a lot with IoT Cloud, but my thinking around IoT Cloud has always been from the sort of the platform event and the orchestration side of it, that it's a kind of a, it's big data, it's logs coming off sensors off machines, very much in the sort of the field service world. And all you want to capture are the exceptions. The machine is fine 99.99% of the time. You're actually using it to capture that one time when it's not fine. Actually, what Charlie's doing here is effectively using IT Cloud's piece of middleware, right? Because actually I was trying to get a developer to write all the sort of the Apex controllers for this, and actually just with one platform event, to your point, Rob, it then goes in and then we're declaratively managing it from there on out, right? So it's actually it was an interesting way to look at it from that perspective. So
let me go right back in there real quick. I forgot to show this, because this plays into your story. Let's say, and we were going to show you the Einstein vision part. We'll show that later, right? Not Einstein discovery part. But let's say we know that we're in an area that's near a fishing center. So we're going to see a lot of bait, right? So this is the logging app, the manual logging app at the end of the day that Sean had to do by himself. So you can just go like that and hit send, and that automatically logs that I found 92 bait traps or whatever, or 56 buoys. So that's sending that in real time. If we look at the log later, that data is going in there. But your use case was, yesterday we saw smoking, right? A lot of butts, cigarette butts.
Right?
So here we go. I found 102 cigarette butts. So that's how that works. So you want to go back into the story, and then we only have a few minutes.
I know.
Should we show the Einstein discovery?
Let's do that really quickly, yeah.
Okay, so we also have, here's the analytics. This is the Einstein analytics that you loaded in, right? And then this is the Einstein discovery. So the use case I was describing earlier with the fishing village being nearby, I took some actual data that I kind of fudged together and leaned it towards a fishing village. I said we found a lot of fishing lines, and the analytics are showing what happened, and this was mentioned earlier in a different presentation. You could show what happened, but I could just click right here and say what could happen, and what that's going to do if this doesn't time out. It may time out because I haven't logged in. Okay, there we go. So what I'm going to show is what could happen if I go near a fishing village. How many fishing lines and how many fishing nets should I expect to see if it's near a fishing village? And if I scroll down, I think my screen is hung here, but if I scroll down, it'll show you a chart that looks like this. Why is my screen frozen? Oh well. Time to go back into PowerPoint. But you get the idea, right? So you can see it'll project for you what could happen. It's predictive analytics on how many, how large the team you need, or how big the bags need to be to haul all that stuff. Okay, so let's go back into the story. Here's the clicker.
Okay, so in fact, I think we've demoed nearly all of them. So the first point is, right, so communities, the different groups can get together, they have their stats. One of the things that Clean Coast were very interested in is, could we start to gamify this? Could we get the different cleanup communities competing against each other, to see how much rubbish they could collect or how often or whatever that is? Because again, they're all in isolation of each other. Whereas if we could actually start having them collaborating. So in the demo, maybe I think we're going to run out of time. I've got groups for instance, Killybegs, which is the sort of near town up in that part of Donegal. There's about 3 different groups involved. They can all collaborate in there rather than working in their little group silos. So we're going to see that. So it's not getting that together, okay?
You want to bring that up?
We can. Okay. So yeah.
Let me see if I can get it on my other.
I don't think they realized we didn't rehearse this very much, Charlie. I think we're getting away with it.
No, we did. That's the problem. Okay, let's see if it's in here.
Yeah. So
okay, here you go. You drive it.
Cool. So I mean, look, it's simple. I mean, we've all seen communities, but it's I actually want to log into your work, Charlie.
No, okay. So that's your org.
Where's the other one?
Oh, I thought you want to show the Einstein analytics.
Oh, okay. We could do that too. So look, if we just go to, I mean, you've seen this already, but it's effectively from that object detection. The whole point is that the stuff is being pushed in, and I can then, like we said, predict. And it's are we trying to spot brands? One of the things that Plastic Tide were talking about is, I think in the Philippines, they were spotting a ton of Unilever stuff washing up. They actually went to Unilever and campaigned them to change. So they basically, and to your point, Sean, it was like they'd marketed a product that was never needed there before, which is detergent, but hadn't then put in the systems for recycling or waste management, and actually lobbied them to, if you're going to sell this stuff, you got to clean it up afterwards as well, or take it away. So, we could build models that, for instance, you can see here I have one, which is trying to identify Coke. So, and as I said, it's been pretty good at spotting Error
They
messages.
may have timed out because I haven't logged in there in a while. But
Did you, actually, do we have any Coke pictures?
yeah, I do.
Yeah,
There
cans.
should be Coke cans, things like
Lots of
that.
drinks cans. Oh, it's the same one, but in this case, I'm looking for it to find not cans, but Coke. So hopefully it's actually going to come up once, right? But the whole point is, if we go back into the org, is then it's writing that back into Salesforce. So there's a data model that I had built.
Go into Chrome, it should be in,
You got it in Chrome, is it?
yeah.
Is this the Charlie org, is it?
Yeah.
Cool. So you can see here.
Maybe click the green button. Will that make it big again? There we go.
Okay, and can I just get to, yep, beach clean.
So those are all the log, where I was pushing buttons in the little mobile app, it was logging into there directly. So you can see a dirty beach alert, that was from the drone. So if you push, we simulated, we have a button. We built a lightning component button that simulates the drone reporting back to mothership. And that's how that row was created.
So what you'll actually see, look, it's probably not the right overall data model, but we have a record here. So when Charlie had that app and we're manually logging the stuff, it's actually writing back, you know, that's if someone manually was recording how many cans, how many bottles, you know, and it's pretty disgusting. It gets down to condoms on the beach, bagged dog feces, but this is the stuff, right? This is what's there. But then the point is, I've got a related list underneath, which has been fed automatically from Einstein, that's going right back every time we saw a picture of Coca-Cola. So there is now a log, and I can then build reports and analytics, workflow to track that and go, what are the most offending brands? Is it Coke? I'm also trying to spot what are the products. I had not expected to find so many cigarette butts as I did yesterday, right? So we could actually take pictures of areas and it would spot them and record that data back in. So the whole point in here is, what I saw, you know, yes, it's in spreadsheets, yes, it's in, Clean Coast are doing this in SurveyMonkey, and the only analytics they have is what SurveyMonkey give them. But, you know, it's now in Salesforce, so all that stuff is available. So, you know, just really quickly, going back to the PowerPoint to kind of finish the story, you got the clicker notes here, you know.
Go to that presentation.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, we go to the beach, so you're recording that stuff, and I mean, I don't know practically if this actually works. Would you do that while you got your down on your hands and knees? But you know, these are the kind of things, there's a lot of creativity in this room we'd love to harness. But also, you know, we see something unusual washed up on the beach that needs more than a Surfers Against Sewage bag. That's where Charlie's SOS to trigger that, to maybe actually coordinate people to come to actually collect. It's all been managed on Salesforce using case management. And then we see the image recognition, where actually we're able to track and record back onto Salesforce, logged against the beach clean with a date and a time and a longitude and a latitude to say, these are the brands or these are the products we found. What Clean Coast asked me was ultimately, you know, rather than manually counting everything, so Sean, you saying Surfers Against Sewage did that? They actually...
Yeah, just check all out, manually sources.
Right.
And we've got others that actually met last year too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What Clean Coast said to me about 4 weeks ago is, if only there was some way to spread it out and just take a picture for it to figure out, you know, what's there. At the time, I actually hadn't done Einstein Vision enough. I was like, oh yeah, totally, yeah, we can totally do that. And I think from about a morning's work, I've proven that, you know, we can do that. We can certainly get a high degree of accuracy, because all they really do is estimate what's there. So we can do that, and yes, it will spot based on things like crushed cans to form shapes. It's pretty solid on that stuff. And then it's all there to the analytics. And one of the things that Pete was telling me was, you know, and William, you know a lot more about this than I do, a lot of this stuff goes in as a sort of a report to Parliament, and it's a very worthy document. Actually, you know, being able to put public data out there, share it on your websites to go, this is what we're finding, this is, you know, sort of what's driving the litter. That's what's going to change public opinion more than a report to Parliament that no one reads. This is me being cynical. Okay? And then the key thing is, as Charlie said, I think the screen resolutions didn't help us there, but we can spot culprits. And this is exactly what Clean Coast said. Now, you know, maybe it's not rocket surgery in this case, but near large fishing ports, they were finding lots of, you know, fishing detritus washing up on the beaches. And they actually did something about that. They went to the local fisheries board and educated the trawlermen and women about the impact of, you know, them not being careful with their stuff. And it's had a huge impact on beaches around there. So what was actually happening in the Einstein data discovery piece is that actually it's telling Clean Coast, Surfers Against Sewage, all of these organizations that actually these are the drivers, these are the things you can do to actively reduce littering on the beach. And in Charlie's case, we can flip it around and not say what did happen, but what could happen or what will happen, so we can go to the beach armed with the right equipment, the right number of people, on the right dates, and actually be much more effective, all using Salesforce. Again, another example of Einstein in action there. And so the results is, you know, you have beaches like that. Okay, if we can get to there, that's nirvana, and that's one of those sustainable goals maybe tackled, or at least we've done some part in fixing it. And you know, there's just so much that we can do for these people. I suppose the call to action is, who'd like to help? It's as you can see, it's a really rough, thrown together prototype. I think what we'd love to do is go to some of these bodies with Will's support and actually go, this is what you should be using, not spreadsheets. Salesforce can actually help all of you get together and coordinate that stuff. And frankly, as you can see, Charlie and I need help, okay? So
Nobody's leaving this room until you fix my code. We got a lot of smart people in there.
So I think we had a couple of summary slides, but we probably will wrap it up at this stage, really, because you need to go, don't you?
Well, this is the theory of operation here. So you got the drone going and pushing into Heroku, doing vision, then the vision discovery, and the email alerts with Process Builder. But for extra credit, last night at 1 a.m. we added a button that pushes from the drone, simulates the drone going directly into platform events. And I figured that would tie nicely into your platform event presentation earlier, right? Then the next slide shows detail on the app itself. So that's just sample. It's a Swift app in Xcode. Who here is anybody programmed in Swift? Xcode? Okay, a couple people. So that's also pushing into a Heroku Java app. That's just fielding it's basically a HTTP post. It converts it to a platform event from Heroku, and then it's merging IoT events with context. And there were two orchestrations running behind the scenes. I showed you one of them. The other orchestration just mindlessly logs all the events going in and just pushes it. And that's the other thing I wanted to add during this presentation. Everybody, all day we were hearing about Einstein. Think of, and you mentioned it briefly, think of IoT Explorer as a filtering capability for Einstein data. Remember, if you can get data into Salesforce, then you can operate Einstein against it. So IoT can really easily take an event from anywhere and push it into a custom object. And then you can have Einstein operate against that custom object, right? So that's what I used to get the data into the custom object and show that brief log that I showed you on the screen in the custom object.
Is that it?
That's it.
Done, thank you.